The forgotten World War II winter hack that outsmarted snow, storms, and, honestly, even modern tech. There's a moment in history when nature seemed determined to break the human spirit, and yet somehow, the opposite happened. While powerful armies froze, struggled, and stalled in the razor-thin air of high mountain fronts, a forgotten frontier innovation quietly flipped the script. It didn't rely on steel. It didn't rely on fuel. It didn't even rely on technology as we define it today. And yet, in the brutal winters of World War II, it outsmarted high altitude itself. What makes this story wild is simple. The freezing wind wasn't the biggest enemy. The real threat was losing the ability to move, think, and survive. And the most unexpected solution didn't come from famous generals or massive militaries. It came from people who understood mountains on a personal level. People who had lived with thin air long before the war ever arrived. Let's dive into it. The mountain problem that broke modern warfare. Up in the world's high-altitude battlefields, winter didn't just slow troops down, it erased them from the landscape. Engines choked, fuel thickened, batteries drained, radios died, even weapons malfunctioned. Frostbite hit faster than bullets. On some mountain fronts, soldiers couldn't boil water without losing precious oxygen, and marching a few meters felt like sprinting a marathon with a broken lung. Modern armies were designed to win with machines. But, mountains don't care about machines. So, military planners in World War II hit a wall. How do you survive where nothing works? How do you climb, fight, and live where winter comes at you like a living force? And that's when the forgotten high-altitude innovation appeared. Not glamorous, not dramatic, but honestly, deadly effective. The frontline shelter that outsmarted the snow. This innovation was a compact, deceptively simple winter shelter designed for high mountain survival. And here's the twist. It could be built in under an hour. No concrete, no steel, no power tools. Yet it worked like insulation engineered by nature itself. It created warmth by trapping the same cold that usually killed people. Soldiers could build it quickly before storms hit, and once inside, the brutal outside temperature transformed into something survivable. It used the landscape as armor and transformed freezing wind into a shield rather than a threat. Imagine standing on a windswept ridge, snow slicing across your face. Then, within minutes, you step inside a space so quiet, so insulated, it feels like someone hit the mute button on the mountain. That wasn't a luxury. That was life or death. These shelters gave high-altitude units an edge no machine could replicate. They reduced exhaustion, preserved body heat, protected food, even allowed troops to plan in relative comfort while winter raged inches away. This wasn't just smart, it was genius born from necessity. Why this survival trick worked when everything else failed. The brilliance of this frontier innovation wasn't the material, it was the method. In high-altitude warfare, the environment becomes a weapon. Wind strips heat, snow blinds movement, cold shuts down muscles, but these shelters flip the physics. Instead of fighting the mountain, they used it. The snow that froze fingers became insulation. The wind-carved drifts shaped natural walls. The very landscape that punished armies became the raw material that saved them. And unlike tents, metal huts, or anything shipped in, this little winter hack didn't fly away in gale-force winds or collapse under snow load. It absorbed the environment and turned it into an ally. Armies would later study these designs because they broke a tactical truth. Technology wasn't always king. Sometimes the oldest, simplest ideas outperformed the best-funded equipment. Across various mountain fronts in World War II, elite units trained in extreme terrain relied heavily on quick-build shelters like these. These weren't regular infantry. They knew the mountains the same way sailors know the sea, intimately, instinctively. Many soldiers credited this survival trick with preserving entire platoons during sudden blizzards that could, swallow a hillside in seconds. When temperatures plunged and supply lines froze, these shelters often meant the difference between retreat and resilience. Commanders didn't publicize it. There are no flashy medals for building shelters faster than a storm. Yet countless histories quietly mention these structures as the unsung heroes of mountain warfare. A survival method modern preppers overlook. Here's the ironic twist. These days, modern prepping culture is, kind of obsessed with gear. Stoves, generators, solar panels, tactical shelters, you name it. But high altitude doesn't really care about your gear haul or the brand names you're carrying. The very same method that saved soldiers back in World War II still works today, and that's because it's built on physics, not products. When you're facing extreme cold, honestly, the most reliable shelter is the one you can build, shape, and count on even if every piece of equipment fails. It's all about adaptability, situational awareness, and resourcefulness, skills that, frankly, are sorely missing from a lot of modern survival strategies. You don't need mountain battles to appreciate this wisdom. Whether you're facing wilderness emergencies, power outages, or unexpected winter storms, the principle is, timeless. Use your environment. Work with natural insulation. Build smarter, not harder. The old mountain soldiers understood something modern prepping forgot. Survival is less about what you carry and more about what you understand. In a war remembered for massive battles, tanks, and global chaos, it's easy to overlook tiny victories won in frozen corners of the world. But this forgotten frontier innovation deserves a spotlight because it represents human resilience at its rawest. No fuel, no machinery, no loud heroics, just skill, speed, and the ability to outthink winter on its own turf. And that's the essence of frontline wisdom. Real survival isn't glamorous. It's practical. It's fast. It's smart. And it often comes from the people who have lived close to the land long before the textbooks catch up. This simple shelter method outsmarted high-altitude winters when modern technology couldn't, and that's why its legacy still matters. If you found this story powerful, inspiring, or just straight-up useful, make sure you subscribe to the Wisdom from the Frontlines channel, drop a like, and share this with someone who loves forgotten history as much as you do.